Hey guys, I do apologize for the lengthy wait, but today we are going to get into Chapter 4 of the Versus Manga. In Chapter 4, we finally get a breakdown of each world and its enemy. The first is the Magic Forces world, where its natural enemies are demons. The world is controlled by the Great Demon King and his underlings. The second is the Machine Rule world, where its natural enemies are robots, controlled and built by an artificial intelligence hell-bent on wiping out its creator, humankind. The third is the Parasite world, where an unknown parasitic life form has infected most of humankind and uses them as a host to control. The fourth is the Giants world, where titanic beings terrorize and enslave humankind to fulfill their needs. The fifth is the Misfortune world, where enormous disaster kaiju, referred to as calamities, travel the world destroying anything and anyone in its path. These calamities have already destroyed entire countries, and most governments have given up trying to fight them. The sixth is the Cosmic Devil world, where its natural enemies are aliens. Highly advanced aliens from outer space have invaded this world and are attempting to seize it for themselves. The seventh is the Wild Green world, where wilderness such as wild plants and animals have grown in size significantly. These creatures have begun to expand their habitat and territories, wiping out any humankind dwellings. The eighth is the Neo-Cruelty world, where once normal humans developed a significant increase in brain and body functionality. The evolution of these humans was so great, they became a mutated form of humanity and are now attempting to purge the world of the previous and or less evolved humans. The ninth is the Mad Gods world. The people of this world believe their natural enemy is, and they say enemy with all due caution and respect, is God himself. The people on this world believe that due to the lack of faith, God has begun to smite the world. The man mustn't say any more, as God is always listening and watching. The 10th is the Cursed Destruction world, where the world is rotting, the oceans have become polluted, and even the stars, gigantic balls of gas and fire, have gone cold. The 11th is the Recreation Hell world, where the humans are aware they have an enemy, but video games have ravaged their minds and keep them from fulfilling any of their daily tasks. The 12th is the Lawless world, where other humans have taken advantage of the collapse of civilization from a long and catastrophic war. These lawless bandits and gangs do whatever they please. Lastly, the 13th is the Huge Tree world, where an enormous tree, referred to as the World Tree, drains the planet of its life force until it becomes a desert wasteland with nothing to offer. It is now made clear to all humans that 13 different worlds have now combined into one. After everyone naming the world and its enemy, Zabi asks if anyone has any idea of how humankind can not only survive these enemies, but also defeat them as well. The Great Hall is silent. No one has a clue of how to be victorious against all these enemies. The stress begins to take over Zabi. Is there really no answer to this riddle? Behind Zabi, his younger brother Hollow thinks to himself. Hollow resumes his theory from earlier regarding how they were able to survive their previous interactions with numerous enemies. This was because the enemies commanded each other's attention and engaged each other in battle for supremacy. Hollow is ready to speak to the Great Hall. He then finally proposes the idea to encourage or trick the enemies into fighting each other. The Great Hall looks back at Hollow, taking a moment to really absorb what he just proposed. Soon after, a human from the cosmic world huffs and puffs at the proposal and passionately states the idea is worthless and a fantasy. He even goes as far as to call Hollow an idiot and a child. Hollow quickly defends his proposal and demands they continue to hear him out. He then recounts the times that, although unintentional, the humans' actions sparked the cause for the enemies to fight each other, thus allowing the humans to live. Zabi begins to recount their run-ins with the different enemies and ultimately realizes that Hollow is right. When they fought the enemies, their attacks were insufficient, but when the enemies fought each other, they all possessed the adequate strength and weapons to cause each other serious damage. Yet again, The cosmic human spits at the idea, even though he has been told it has worked in the past. He then begins to ramble about how him and his defense force has been struggling against the aliens for decades now. Despite their best efforts, they still have no chance of success. He then states that the Council for Humanity are not taking the aliens' powers seriously. The Giants World humans take offense to the proposal as well. They feel like the Council is also underestimating the power of the Giants and how deadly they can be. Like a domino effect, all the world's humans argue their case for the severity of their world's enemy and how impossible it is to control them. Since Hollow isn't the best politician, he looks to his brother Zabi for help on how to get the others to understand the proposed concept. Zabi gets a somewhat sinister idea to promote his brother Hollow's strategy. Zabi sarcastically, loudly, and intentionally says to his brother Hollow that he is a moron. Even if all the other world's enemies band together, there's no way they would have a chance at defeating the demons. Zabi's plan is working, and he gains the attention of the other worlds. Zabi then hilariously continues to purposely undermine the other world's enemies by stating, "The other worlds have been lucky to not have to fight the demons, as they are the strongest out of all the enemies." Hollow, still oblivious to his big brother's intentions, tries to figure out Zabi's weird behavior. But it's too late. Zabi has officially struck a nerve with the other humans. Everyone begins shouting to Zabi, expressing the displeasure of his criticism and rebutting the severity of their world's enemy, not knowing they just fell for Zabi's trap. Zabi simply turns his back and lets them get it out of their system before he reveals to them they just proved his younger brother's plan can work. Zabi endorses more competition and bantering between the humans. Some show extreme frustration and anger, while others show anxiety and criticism. The arguing grows more intense and is starting to escalate. Next thing you know, everyone is at each other's throats over the matter. Kayla, who is also oblivious to Zabi's plan, tries to calm everyone down, but it doesn't work. The women of each world look upon the men with disbelief and shame. They conclude that all men are the same no matter what world they're from. Kayla finally questions Zabi as to why he started all this. Then Zabi states, "To make enemies, fight enemies." Zabi postures himself in between the humans fighting to convey how he just instigated the fight amongst them through psychology. Everyone looks up realizing they've been hoodwinked. Captain Kayla is shocked at the experiment, and the other humans continue to argue the possibility of such tricks actually working on the enemies. But Zabi insists that if they all work together and come up with a much more specific tactic to get each enemy to fight each other, this may be their weapon of choice for the time being. The others now have no choice but to agree. Zabi, now excited and eager to try this new strategy out, he solidifies the plan and tries to encourage his brother with passion. The other humans look upon the two brothers, Zabi and Hollow, with hope and realize that despite all the odds stacking against them, these two brothers are finding hope and the strength to fight back. We then jump back to the battleground where the demons and the robots have engaged each other for the first time. The surrounding structures and most of the forces have been decimated. There are only two continuing to fight. However, Kiva strikes the robot with the blow. This blow is the climax of the battle as it severs the robot's head and neutralizes its ability to function. Kiva, battered and weary from the lengthy battle with the drones, reverts back to his smaller state. He admits he became more exhausted than he thought and must report these new developments to Lord Jachi soon. He then starts to remember who brought this battle upon him. Kiva remembers the hero Hollow and has such rage for this human that he drags his claws across his own face, splitting himself open. But such things are harmless to a demon. Kiva begins to regenerate. Lastly, we see the hand of Kiva that latched on to Hollow at the Fort for Humanity. Kiva then begins to communicate with it.